Welcome to my UK's top 10 most haunted houses. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, get comfy, relax and enjoy. Number 1. Chartwell in Kent. The supposed ghost of Winston Churchill's father. For over 40 years, Chartwell House was home to the former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and it is him who first reported a strange encounter in the country house near to the town of Westerham. Sir Winston Churchill published an article entitled "The Dream," where he describes feeling a strange sensation while copying a portrait of his father. Looking around, he saw an apparition of his father sitting in a red leather armchair. Churchill describes their conversation about events including the 2 world wars that had happened during the 50 years since his death. The conversation ended with his father saying, "Of course, you are too old now to think about such things, but when I hear you talk, I really wonder why you didn't go into politics. You might have done a lot to help. You might even have made a name for yourself." He then struck a match to light his cigarette and vanished. Number 2. Speke Hall in Liverpool. Lady Mary inherited Speke Hall in the 1730s. She later married Lord Sidney Beauclerk, known as Worthless Sidney, who gambled away the family fortunes. Lady Mary was overcome with grief and anger when she found out and threw her infant son from a window into the moat below. She then went down into the Great Hall and committed suicide. Lady Mary's shadow has been spotted gliding from one wall into another, into the tapestry room. Shadows have also been seen floating around the Great Hall, while in the Blue Room she whispered words like, "Get out." They've been heard by many. Number 3. Felbrigg Hall in Norfolk. Felbrigg Hall is a 17th century English country house near to the village of that name in Norfolk. Part of a National Trust property, the unaltered 17th century house is noted for its Jacobean architecture and fine Georgian interior. Outside is a walled garden, an orangery and orchards. The house and grounds were bequeathed to the National Trust in 1969 by Robert Ketton Kremer. His ghost has been spotted standing by a table. He's also been seen sitting in a library chair. Number 4. Newton House. Newton House is a Grade 2 listed country house situated just to the west of a market town in Carmarthenshire, Wales. It is partially owned and maintained by the National Trust. The original house was built during the medieval period on a site which has been occupied for at least 2 millennia. Lady Eleanor was betrothed to a man she didn't love, and to escape him sought refuge with her family at Newton House, but she was followed by her enraged suitor, who burst into the house and strangled her to death. The cantilever staircase, where people have reported experiencing a choking sensation. Lights switch themselves on and off throughout the rest of the house. People have reported muffled voices reverberate around empty rooms, and from time to time there is the unmistakable aroma of pipe or cigar smoke. Number 5. Nunnington Hall, York. Nunnington Hall is a country house situated in the English county of North Yorkshire. The River Rye, which gives its name to the local area Ryedale, runs past the house, flowing away from the village of Nunnington. A stone bridge over the river separates the grounds of the house from the village, and above the ridge, known as Calkley's Bank, lies between Nunnington and the Vale of York to the south. The second wife of the hall's owner, Lady Nunnington, resented her stepson, wishing that her own son could inherit the estate. After her husband died, she began mistreating her stepson and locked him in the attic. The only person allowed to see him was her son, who was fond of his stepbrother and would bring him food and toys. One night, the stepson escaped and disappeared without a trace. Lady Nunnington was jubilant, but her son was distraught. He missed his playmate and would watch for him endlessly. This ended in tragedy when he leaned too far out of a window, fell to the ground and died. His mother took to roaming the house, inconsolable with grief. There have been many reported sightings of Lady Nunnington's ghost gliding through all of the rooms and ascending the staircase. Number 6. Warwickshire. Baddesley Clinton is a moated manor house situated about 8 miles northwest of the town of Warwick in Warwickshire, England. The house probably originated in the 13th century when large areas of the Forest of Arden were cleared for farmland. The site is a scheduled ancient monument and the house is a Grade 1 listed building. The house, park and gardens are owned by the National Trust and are all open to the public. Nicholas, who inherited Baddesley Clinton in 1483, one day returned to home to find his wife in the embrace of a minister of the local church. He killed the minister on the spot, and now both of their ghosts are said to roam the grounds of the house. Many people have also heard ghostly footsteps along the corridors and have seen door handles turning on their own. Number 7. Ham House, Surrey. Ham House is a 17th century house set in formal gardens on the bank of the River Thames in Ham. South of Richmond in London, it was completed in 1610 by Thomas Vavassor, an Elizabethan courtier and knight marshal to James I, but came to prominence during the 1670s as the home of Elizabeth Murray Maitland, the Duchess of Lauderdale and Countess of Dysart, and her second husband, John Maitland, the Duke of Lauderdale. Elizabeth was known as an ambitious and ruthless woman. When her first husband died suddenly and she quickly married the also recently widowed first Earl of Lauderdale, there was dark speculation about the convenient timings of events. After the death of her second husband, the Duchess found herself increasingly hard up and in ill health. She spent her final days in confinement writing, "I am a prisoner now in my beloved Ham House, and I will never leave." The ground floor room to which she retreated has been the sighting of many an apparition. The Duchess's bedchamber now has a strangely oppressive atmosphere. The room emits sounds of footsteps and wafts of the Duchess's favourite rose scent, while her looking glass, with its slightly clouded appearance, is often home to the reflection of a malevolent-looking figure. Number 8. Corfe Castle, Dorset. Corfe Castle is a fortification standing above the village of the same name on the Isle of Purbeck Peninsula in the English county of Dorset. Built by William the Conqueror, the castle dates to the 11th century and commands a gap in the Purbeck Hills on the route between Wareham and Swanage. The first phase was one of the earliest castles in England to be built, at least partly, using stone when the majority were built with earth and timber. Corfe Castle underwent major structural changes in the 12th and 13th centuries. Sir John Banks bought the castle in 1635 and was the owner during the English Civil War. His wife, Lady Mary Banks, led the defence of the castle when it was twice besieged by parliamentarian forces. During the Civil War, Lady Banks belonged to a family that supported the Royalists. She tried to defend the castle but was betrayed by one of her garrison who allowed parliamentary soldiers to gain access to the building. They destroyed the castle. The sound of a child weeping can occasionally be heard nearby, and a headless white lady, assumed to be Lady Banks, haunts the remnants of the castle. Number 9. Dunster Castle, Somerset. Dunster Castle is now a country house in the village of Dunster, Somerset, England. The castle lies on the top of a steep hill called the Tor and has been fortified since the late Anglo-Saxon period. Staff say they have seen a man dressed in green walking through the area of the 17th century stable block, which is now the shop, only to vanish without a trace. A general sense of menace haunts this space, and visitors often ask if anyone was ever murdered here. Number 10. Treasurer's House in York. Several ghosts reportedly haunt the house, including that of George Aylesby, who owned the property in the 17th century. However, the most notable haunting is by a group of Roman soldiers who have been witnessed in the cellar, firstly by a party guest of Frank Green, and then many years later. During restoration works carried out by the National Trust in 1953, local 18-year-old apprentice plumber Harry Martindale was repairing pipework in the cellar. The National Trust having decided to remove the coal-fired central heating installed by Mr. Green. After about 4 hours of work at the top of his ladder, Martindale became aware of a musical sound, resembling a series of repeated single trumpet-like notes. The sound grew in intensity until, just below his ladder, Martindale reported that he saw a soldier wearing a plumed helmet. He emerged from the wall, followed by a cart horse, and about 9 or 10 pairs of other Roman soldiers. Martindale fell terrified from his ladder and stumbled into a corner to hide. His account has never been proven, nor disproven. You decide. I hope you enjoyed my top 10 most haunted. If you did, please hit that subscribe button and click on the bell notification.